Well, welcome to our Tuesday morning meditation and spiritual practice. Great to be with everybody.
Welcome to our Tuesday morning.
Second, I always does that. If you're streaming in through Facebook or YouTube or our custom streaming channel, this is a Zoom group that you're also welcome to join if you ever want to join and be able to ask questions afterwards. But otherwise, I'm glad you're with us this morning. So one of the things that I want us to get to focus on is the word in Hebrew Daled Aleph, or Yada Yud Daled, Daled Aleph, Daled Ayin, or Yud Daled Ayin, which is the word that means to know, like knowledge, to know. And our scholar, CSP scholar, Ariel Berger, taught a piece of Rabbi Nachman's teaching to the Board of Rabbis yesterday. And one of the things he mentioned, which I didn't know, is that in Rabbi Nachman's work, whenever he starts out a paragraph that says, da, like know this, and then he is about to say it, the Breslov Hasidim, who really follow his teachings, say that whenever he says da, it means that he's going to be bringing in he's going to be channeling some of the highest Torah. It's what he feels like is the deepest and most important. And that really, that idea about the biblical idea of what it means to know something is really a core relevant aspect of living and being a human being. We encounter the word first in Genesis when Adam, you see it in the translation, it says Adam knew Eve, right? Adam knew Eve. It's using that same verb to know. And we know that in the text, it's a euphemism for intercourse. Adam knew Eve because then they had children. But if we really think about that as not just a euphemism, but something that is really very literal, that there's a sense of how the Bible is relating knowledge is something that is connected to the deepest experience, and the deepest, not only experience, but experience of union, of connection, right? We know that on a physical level, the deepest experience of connection that we can have is love with another person, making love physical. That on a physical level is, if it's something that we are truly in relationship about, it is a way in which we come into a certain kind of knowledge. It's even, I'm just thinking even in the English, it's called carnal knowledge, right? This sense of being able to not facts, right? Not about gathering information. It's not that kind of knowledge, but something that is about connection, about union, and about experience. And one of the biggest questions that we have in our parsha, our weekly Torah portion this week, which we're into the book of Exodus, and we're into Moses, bargaining with Pharaoh to let the people go, and the experience of the plagues. And one of the questions is, why does God keep hardening Pharaoh's heart? Why does God keep making it tough for Pharaoh to let go? And the reason that the text gives over and over again is so that you, and that speaking to the Israelites and to the Egyptians, will know that I am God, so that I can show my signs and wonders, and that you can know that I am God. So again, without getting into the place of the ethics and the pain and the suffering and all of those pieces of it, to the purpose of the phenomenon that's going on, which is about knowledge, is about awareness of God. Not, again, in some sense to say, oh, out of all of those Egyptian gods, here in the pantheon is the Israelite God, and that's the one who's the most powerful. Not that, but more in the sense of, in all of these Egyptian gods, all of that is illusion. There is only one real source of reality. And the process of freedom, of liberation, is about awakening to that source of reality. So I want to share with you a beautiful Torah from early Hasidic master, Menachem Nachum of Chernobyl. And this is from his book, Me'or Einayim, The Light of the Eyes. And he teaches, the secret meaning of the Egyptian exile is that true awareness was in exile. People were unable to attain the awareness required to serve our blessed Creator. Awareness is the root that brings one to full love and awe of God. Know in faith that the whole world is filled with God's glory. There is no place devoid of God, and that God is the true pleasure of all pleasures, the life of life. Then you will come to realize that within any pleasure were the flow of divine light and the life force. That within any pleasure, were the flow of divine light and light force to disappear from it, that pleasure, like all created things, would return to primal chaos, to the void. This is true of all the worlds, both higher and lower. If one could imagine that God's vitality might depart from them, they would be nothing. So here, when we're saying that the truest pleasure is God, this is not something in a religious sense that's separate from the rest of life or from physical pleasure or from any of those things. But here he's talking about God as the reality and the life vitality that is in everything, that is within everything, and that is everything. God is thus the essence of all things. One who has faith in this will surely not lust after any this worldly pleasures. If their essence is the blessed Creator, it would be better to hold fast to that true pleasure. In that way, you do not bring about separation from your root, taking the pleasure only as it appears in physical form. Doing so would make you a separator, dividing the cosmic one from his own presence. All things are called Shekhinah. That is the life force of our blessed God dwelling in all things. So he goes on, I'll say just one more thing is, one who has this awareness should look in all things at the inwardness that gives them life. That is God's blessed presence. Cleave to it, and you will come to both awe and love, right? So it's the inside of things. It's relating to every moment as if we are relating to the alive divine presence that is here. And how we do that is there's so many aspects. There's qualities that we bring to our meditation and to our moment, qualities of being open, of not knowing, of embrace, of being fully aware and focused and present to the moment. And there also is that, with all of that, is that sense of being able to say, I may still be imposing an idea on this moment, an idea that that as I'm experiencing my breath and my body in meditation, or as I'm experiencing this walk through the park, there's an idea that I have that everything I'm experiencing is filled with God. And on that level, it's an idea. It still is just an idea. But the idea can be a tool to bring our attention more present and our openness more present, so that what happens is the knowledge that we're talking about, this intimate knowledge, is not just an idea anymore, but we actually awaken to the real vitality and godliness and presence that is in the moment. So idea can lead us to the experience, But what we're talking about when we talk about knowledge is the experience. Okay, so find a comfortable place to sit. Yananai nai nai, yananai nai nai. Yananai nai nai, nananai nai nai. Yananai nai nai, nananai nai nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yananai nai nai, nananai nai nai. Yananai nai nai, nananai nai nai. Yananai nai nai, nananai nai nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai nai nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai nai nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yananai nai nai, nananai nai nai. Yananai nai nai, nananai nai nai. Yananai nai nai, nananai nai nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai nai nai. Yai nai 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 nai. One more time, try it. Yana nai nai nai, na na nai nai nai. Yana nai nai nai, na na nai nai nai. Yana nai nai nai, yana nai nai nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai nai nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai nai nai. Yai nai 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 nai. So you can let yourself settle into your body, feeling the contact of your bottom on the cushion or the chair, the whole surface area of the bottom of your feet where they meet the floor, the positioning, the length of your legs as that comes out of your hips and reaches down into your toes, the distance between the bottom of your spine and the top of your head, the gentle weight of your arms as they hang out of your shoulders and the resting place of your hand. Letting yourself be aware of the full outline of your body in space. As you notice the beginning of the inhale as it comes through your nostrils or your mouth. Noticing the body expanding, breathing on the inhale. And noticing that place where the inhale reaches its maximum length, switches over to an exhale, and follow the breath out. Noticing the gentle contraction of the body as the breath leaves, and then follow the cycle again back in through the inhale. And you can expand your awareness to include not only breath and body, but the sounds around you, the air as it touches your face or parts of your skin that are exposed. And just be open to it all of it at once, the divine symphony. Every part of your experience, from breath to body to sound to even the thoughts in the mind, everything is an instrument in the symphony. Let yourself hear the full orchestra, the full totality of your experience in this moment. That in order to be present to all of it, there's both a commitment to awareness and to focus, a commitment to direct our attention to this kind of open awareness, and also an openness, an attitude of embrace, an attitude that in the heart says yes to all of it, that the parts of the body that are contracted and may be uncomfortable, to the sounds outside of either birds or chainsaws or whatever it is, fully open to the symphony, open to being here. Open to the reality that everything, breath, body, sound, cells, molecules, everything is filled with divine presence. Everything is an expression of that one. It's aliveness, pure energy. Let yourself be present to this moment as alive energy. Open to that aliveness, that aliveness that's present in the breath, that's present in every cell of your body, that's present in the world that surrounds. Notice the aliveness even in your own awareness, even as you start to sense into the one who is watching it all. The one who is watching is not the breath. The one who is watching is not the thoughts. The one who is watching is not the sensations. And yet the one that is watching is also another expression of this alive presence. When we fully open to God, to the deepest source of life in every aspect of the moment, There is no place for the idea of ourselves as separate beyond just that another expression of divine presence, that idea of separation. See if you can allow your intention to be present and open in this moment, come without effort, without contraction, without a scrunched up face. But just from a deep place, the intention to be awake, to know the reality of this moment, to know, to recognize the divine presence in everything. There's no effort in that recognition. I'm going to be quiet for a period of time, and each one of us can have that intention to be awake to divine presence in every aspect of this moment. Having a awareness and a presence with the divine symphony, with our experience, and an openness to want to listen and be in this vital reality. Yananai nai nai, yananai nai nai. Yananai nai nai, yananai nai nai. Yananai nai nai, nananai nai nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yananai nai nai, nananai nai nai. Yananai nai nai, yananai nai nai. Yananai nai nai, yananai nai nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yanai nai 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 nai. Yanai nai 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 nai. Yanai nai 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 yai nai nai nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. All right, welcome back, everybody. So any questions, comments, either about the teaching, about the meditation, what works for you, what doesn't? How do you see incorporating some of this into your life? You can just go ahead and speak too. I can't see everybody on the screen at once. Yeah, Sarah.
During my meditation, I would say I wasn't as focused, but coming out of it, some clarity for me was just the idea of being open to everything sort of lends itself, at least for me, to not label anything. So as the day goes by, there's certain things that happen, good or bad, and to not have a label to it is just sort of a way to embrace all aspects of life throughout the day as things happen. So it's kind of a way to just embrace all of life, everything that's happening.
Thank you. Thank you. It really does happen that our natural process of labeling our experiences, other people, things, whatever it is, creates a certain distance. And it's very interesting. It doesn't have to create the distance, but most of the time it does. And if we're talking about real knowledge as being kind of the intimate experience of whatever it is in the moment, then it's almost as if labeling is a step back from that experience, because once we put a concept on it that gets translated into language, it becomes that in our minds and our relationship to it, we're not relating to the thing anymore, to the actual essence of whatever it is. We're relating to it as the label or the concept. Let's take nature, for example. It's really easy on one hand for somebody who is to label everything that we're experiencing. Oh, that's just a tree. Oh, that's just this, as opposed to, wow, look at the way that those leaves catch the light in this particular thing. I can't dismiss it in that way of just a tree. However, labels used consciously can help us bring closer to that essential experience. So for instance, by let's say, labeling a flower or a tree and kind of knowing a little bit about the biology of it, the label of it, what's happening in it, that labeling has the potential to draw us closer into the experience. Oh, let me look at this. I now have some knowledge, some concepts, some whatever about this. And as opposed to me just relating to the concept, the label can bring me closer into the essential experience. But that's something that we need to do consciously in order to have it happen. Most of the time, the labels keep distance. So I thank you for that.
Rabbi, this is Maury.
Hi, Maury.
My mind was busy today, not that that's so unusual, but I did find, I was just thinking what you said about how you, relate to nature. And I turned my chair so that I was facing the window, the light was coming in onto my face. So I realized the light of the sun helped to center me and calm me down. And I realized that just, the how you can use sensations in that way, just that simple act of letting the light shine on me, then, brought a certain calmness. But I mean, I do relate what you say every time to what's going on in the world. And I do label people are doing horrible things and people are doing wonderful things. And what I always want to understand or know, how does that wonderfulness come about? People who risk their lives to help other people. I know I talk about this. I want to understand that and connect with that. Yes. There's always wonderfulness going on at the same time as horribleness.
Yes.
And there it is,
Right. And that invites our own question for each one of us personally. How do we approach the situations in our life that allow us to bring wonderfulness, to bring God's presence, to be aware of that, to be able to lift that out? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Rabbi, I'm always surprised when you start doing chanting or doing the niguns, that it's like after 2 notes, I like to know the melody. It's really amazing. It's like it comes from inside of me. How does that? I'm not asking you to answer the question, but the wonder is, how does that happen? I remember maybe 10 or so years ago, I listened to a CD of a guy named Alan Stivell who does Irish music, and he played the music and I knew it, and I'd never heard it before.
Yeah,
it was like it was in me. But I'm really surprised with the niguns, like the melody this morning. It was like I knew that.
Yeah, what I connect to what you're saying, Dennis, is, Carl Jung had this idea of archetypes, right? And the sense that, and that kind of went along with his idea of a collective unconscious, that all human beings, just by virtue of having our own DNA and being this species and the way that our brains are created and wired, all of those things, that there is certain deep images, ideas, things that are just kind of part of the fabric of who we are. So, an archetype, you can look and see a Tibetan monk do a sand painting in one part of the world that has that kind of experience like a mandala, symmetrical and those forms. And then you look and see a sand painting from a Native American, a Lakota tribe here in the United States. And it's so similar, so similar. Now, you could try to go ahead and say, well, maybe there was a way that throughout history, it kind of, these traditions of the sand painting got passed all the way over, geographically so that it landed here. Or you could say, as Carl Jung would, that those mandalas, those paintings are archetypes. They're things that every human being, when they go deeply, they express something essential their art or in what's happening. And I really think that sacred music is like that. And I'm going to say, right, sacred music, not just, music that's always used for church, but, music that is, that somehow, like you said, you just know it. You just recognize it. And the tradition of nigunim is like that. The nigunim, that the melodies that last over time, that keep getting sung over and over, is because the singing of that, if it doesn't already feel like home, and familiar, it can bring people into that more, that deeper place. So it's almost like the music is waiting to be discovered.
Waiting to be sung.
Yeah, waiting to be sung. Yeah, good. Thank you.
It's Ellen. And this one isn't a personal thing, but a couple of sessions ago with Ariel Berger, when he was talking about the Hasidim and the Kabbalists and the niguns that they would create to find that ecstatic experience. And apparently what was lost, and if you could, I would love to find a place to do research, but I guess it was lost, along with the niguns and the ecstatic music. And again, I'm just quoting Ariel Berger, but was dancing. There were specific choreographed steps that went with the niguns to like a swirling dervish that created this whole total experience, which I knew nothing about, but I just thought that was just an interesting piece of information.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would imagine, that, the Hasidic practice and teaching of our modern Hasidic sects, ultra-Orthodox Haredi sects, everywhere from Chabad to Babov to all of the other, Breslov, all those things, where that is a lot of the teaching in there is very different from the lineage that they trace from, where it goes back to a lot of those early Hasidic masters. I think it's very possible that, just like the nigunim, we know some of these nigunim have been passed down. Like there's one that I know that tradition has, it goes all the way back to the Baal Shem Tov, that this was the Baal Shem Tov's nigun, not the one we were singing today, but another one. I think that probably within these communities, there are people that was passed down orally, or kinesthetically, physically, and there may be some knowledge of some of these more early dance. Now, I don't know if it's something, that is practiced widely, or it's just that, but I would think that would be the places where you would discover it. That would be an awesome research project.
And did they connect with the Sufi, thank you. Did they connect with them? And I mean, there seems, or is it just human nature, that Jungian collective need? I mean, it's just all very interesting.
Yeah. I don't know, from my learning, I don't know where from that early Hasidic, Baal Shem Tov and disciples, I don't see the cross with Sufi like we have in a lot of earlier time with Sufi and Jewish practice. But you never know what gets passed on. Yeah, you never know. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Great to practice and be together. And hope everybody has a good week. And this Friday at 5 p.m. is Kibbutz and Community. So it's an opportunity. Sarah and her husband Miles host it, but really just an open opportunity to schmooze and hang out in this, in this time of pandemic, isolation, to be together. And then directly following that will be our special Soul Spark service, which is more of a meditatively oriented service. And we've done some new pieces. And so that Soul Spark, it's a recording, but I've added some new pieces to that recording, and so has Cantor Young. So it's not the same old.
What time would that be?
It's the normal time, 6 p.m. So Kibbutz and Community is is 5 to 5:45, and then kind of general oneg, and then the 6 o'clock Soul Spark.
Rabbi K'vod, I have a question. Do we need to switch off of the Zoom and then go to YouTube to watch the Soul Spark Shabbat, or will it be continuous on Zoom?
I think that people switch off, but the truth is I haven't been there before of that 5:45 period. I know that Bonnie or Micah will be there and will be giving instructions at the time. So you'll have somebody with you to help that transition.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Take care,
May
everybody.
may I ask quickly, Sherry, how are you doing? Sherry Kraus. Oh, you're muted.
I'm doing a teeny bit better. It's not a lot, but the fact that it's something better is good.
Well, it's good to see you, Sherry. I hope you keep getting a bit more and a bit more and a bit more better.
Me
Thinking
too. I
of you,
appreciate
Sherry.
it.
We're
It's nice to
thinking of
be
you.
back.
Yeah,
Nice
so
to
good
be
to see
back.
you.
Thank you. Have a good week, everybody. Kisses. Mwah.
Yes.
Yes. You
Bye.
too, Sherry.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi.
Norma, how's your family?
They're doing okay. The boys don't have it that bad. The younger one has it worse than the older one, but
Uh-huh.
they seem to be coping. So that's all I can ask for.
Yes. And hopefully they'll get better quickly.
Yes. Well, they're young.
Yeah.
So, and they really haven't been exposed except when they're with their father. And he seems to expose them a lot. He takes them over to friends' houses and
Oh, okay. So they
But-
have to be kept. They have to be kept.
yeah, but
In
that's what
isolation,
happens
yeah.
when a divorce happens. My daughter has no control over it. But thank you for asking. I appreciate that.
Well, I'm glad to hear they're doing better.
Yeah, they're doing okay.
Okay. Take care. See you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.